Hello, my name is Ed Frawley. This DVD is set up like a book. It has chapters and subchapters. You can view the section that you wish by following the menu buttons. If you're watching a subchapter and you want to go to another part of the DVD, simply hit the menu button on your DVD remote control, and this will return you to the main menu of our training video. A dog is ready to begin more advanced obedience training when the handler can put his dog into high drive, when the dog will sit and stay focused under distraction, and when the dog will out the toy and stay out when told to do so. Let's take a second here and watch a dog that's ready to go into more advanced obedience training.
And then they sit. They sit.
Bernard just told him not to kick the dog so hard.
That's concentration and drop. Yeah? When a dog is high drive and when he's training concentration. He don't is distracted. What? And then you can make a competition and the dog has no problem. There are 15 people or you in a great stadium there are 20,000. When the dog is not concentrated, he is distracted.
Now, let us begin by talking about healing exercises. Here are the steps to take in the first steps of healing. This is started by putting the dog into drive, then making the dog sit, then very slowly, without putting any movement in the prey item, be it a ball or a tug, pivot to the dog's side. Move the ball or tug to your left shoulder. Slowly take up the slack on the string if you're using a ball, so the ball is in your fist and the dog can see it through your fingers. Take one step and drop the ball when the dog is looking at you. Now, follow the pattern of intermittent rewards. I have an article on my website that discusses this. Initially, what it means is the first time you do it, take one step and drop the ball, then 3 steps and drop the ball, then 5 steps, then 10 steps, then 1 step. Do not set a pattern for your dog. This is intermittent rewards. Now, let's watch Bernard and then some other trainers do this healing work. Bernard begins by putting Etor into drive. Makes the dog sit and focus. And then Bernard takes the ball, takes up the slack in the string, puts the ball on his left shoulder. With the dog looking at him, he steps off and heels. A new trainer would drop the ball at this point in training. Never drop the ball unless your dog is looking up at you. It's also important that new handlers remember that putting too much movement into the prey item while you're moving is very likely to trigger the dog's prey drive. This could cause the dog to try and jump up and grab the ball. So move slowly and do not bounce the ball around. Also notice how Bernard handles the leash during this work. It's loose and dragging. And once again, watch when he releases the ball. He releases the ball when the dog's looking up at him, just as in the focus exercises.
But he knows exact also the ball will come. He don't know when, intermittent reinforcements, but he know it will. And when a dog is able to do that and not to jump and not give the success by himself, to make an obedience, Fuß is very easy, no jerks. Every time a nice feeling. Fuß means high drive. When a dog is able for that, then Fuß can go on. But before it's no concentration and no drive. Before concentration. Aus. Good. Sit. Was too early, of course. But, and I make mistakes. I dropped it, and the dog don't look. I make 5 steps. Was too early, but I think you see what I want to do. Drive, concentration, commands. Yeah? As first build up drive, then train concentration, then make the exercise. And it's a nice work for a dog. No compulsion is necessary. Maybe for the first steps, Fuß, when the dog is too high, you make a little bit strong leash. Fuß, and then drop. Because the dog maybe wants to run in that direction. And don't take the toys to that side. Yeah, when you take the toys to that side, the dog goes in that way. When you take the toy in that position, push and drop. Don't throw in that direction or that. Only open the hands. So the dog is close to you, he's watching, and he's prepared for a quick bite.
Now, let's take a look at a couple of common handler mistakes in this heeling work. The few seconds of heeling that you just watched was not the correct way to do this work. First, the handler needs to hold the leash with her left hand. This controls the dog from forging and or jumping in the first stages of heeling training. This is important. She also needs to hold the toy, in this case a piece of rubber hose, high on her left shoulder with her right hand. Bernard will now come over and show her how to make these changes, and you'll see how a couple of small changes make a big difference.
That's Fuß. When the dog has drive and he has concentration, you need no jerks. I want to show play and concentration. This dog has all that, and he can come to the next step. Very easy work. You see? When drive is there and when concentration is there. Okay? And running. And in the running.
Love is a low tab.
That's why she only drank iced tea.
Love is going home with money.
Hello. Yeah, listen to what I said.
Okay. Now open. I see a lot of people working with these big tugs. And for when I walk in obedience with that, the dog can see it.
Okay, I gotta go.
That's a good step into the right direction. But I can open. The ball is not to see. And I can open. And I like the ball because it's easier to hide him onto the rope or onto maybe on that position. Yeah? I can move and I can give reward. That's the reason I like more the ball than the rope. The rope is nice for maybe the first 1.5 years. Biting, calm grip, stuff like that. But I train with both. And later, when the dog is well trained, this is his big reward. And it's very easy to protect, to hide. Is that right? To hide the ball. He could not see. With a big bite roll, the dog sees. And I'm not quick enough with that. Yes? Will you try to do that with this?
Sure.
8 o'clock.
Yeah?
We're kind of...
What do they call
At first a little bit spot. Okay, make a sit.
My dog's got plenty of room left.
Step beside your dog. The rest of the leash behind you. Open. When he looks to you, open.
Sweet chick. Give him a mistake.
Yeah? She every time takes the leash in that way. Why? Open my hand the leash close to the collar and walking. Then my hand make this on a leash.
Actually, look between you and
The leash is loose, but when I use to make a jerk, I can close it with the thumb and it's okay. Yeah? Let the rest of the leash hanging behind you. Take it in your left hand closer.
That's a bad game.
And then you can make normal movements with all of your hands and you can control your dog every time.
You have to see a schedule, but there's
Yeah, I'm just not used to holding the ball there, so.
Yeah. He did not know that the ball is there.
No.
The tuck he can see, but in a trial he's away. So he had to learn there is no toy. I could not see the toy, but the toy is there. But with these big tuck, you could not hide.
The next step of training is to teach the dog that he must remain focused when he cannot see the prey item. Bernard makes this training step by using a clothespin on a line that's attached around his neck. In this next training segment of the video, he explains the concept of how this works.
You only must tell the dog, the tuck is under my jacket. Be hopeful. Be concentrated. Another word for the same thing. When you are a long time concentrated, it comes out of the jacket and you get it. Now he can see it and he's extreme high drive. The dog makes the same work when the tuck is under the jacket. And for that I use to be quick, because I don't want to make it under my arms. I wear a jacket, a ball, these bite roll, everything can hang on that. My jacket is closed, the dog can't see, but I'm very quick. Yeah? When I want to have it out, I only take it out. And I can use my hands in a normal way. And then I have the competition movements. The dog sees no tuck, no toy. Maybe it comes out. And when you put it in a jacket, you have problems to get out when it's wet. When it's in your bag, your dog is too far of you, in front of you. When it's here, it's a good signal for here. He sits and he knows it. At first he can see it. And when a dog is trained, you say, bite! And you don't take your stomach. He's allowed to take it away. And when the dog, maybe he's too hard, here, you can get it, and later you close your jacket, and your dog knows the tuck is there. Of course, in a competition it's not there, but you can train the trial situation. Close the jacket, no tuck to see, and he thinks maybe it's there. I hope it comes out. And on a competition it don't comes out, but on every training situation it comes out. The better the dog is trained, the later it comes out. Very easy. And you have a dog, you can see, he gets in hard compulsions. And now he has the tuck under his legs. The dog can see it. But he gives him hard compulsion and the tail is running. And that is only possible, high drive, high concentration, good feeling, correct word, and that is I want to have. High drive, 100% drive, of course later in protection, 100% drive and 100% controlling. You'll be able to be very hard to your dog. Hard jerks, remote trainers, all you can use when you build drive before, concentration and then compulsion. Drive, compulsion, drive. Very easy work, good fun for the dog. So that can taper. And slow motions. Closer to the dog, the leash shorter, so you can make a jerk when it's necessary. No, sits. Don't forget to use your voice.
Sit.
Closer to your body, and the ball close to you, and to the face of the dog then.
Sit.
No, no, no.
Make him come to me.
Yeah, short jerk. Sit.
Sit.
And left and right. Slow. Stand still. Step beside your dog. The ball into your hand. Now, that should be a good situation for a correct Fuß in high drive with big concentration to her. A jerk when the dog jumps and turning left, not turning right. When the dog is too high, never turn right. Yeah? To turn right, make quick movements make turn on nerves. Now we want to have a concentrated work. Make the leash onto the dog. When the dog jumps, one jerk or 2 or 3 jerks? Okay, take the leash into your hand and Fuß. Left. Stand still. You saw that situation? She makes a jerk backwards, a step backwards, and the dog takes her arm. And do it again. She opened or she made that?
I don't think I did this, but I pedaled like that.
So, when you are finished with your work, your dog should be able to look like this.
Both hands, normal movement.
If you ever want to know what a dog that's in 100% drive looks like when it heels, this is it. It doesn't get much better than what we see Kevin Sheldall and his police dog CJ doing here. The next training section deals with teaching the dog to sit calmly when given the command to sit in front of the handler. Many dogs get nervous or have turned on nerves when they sit in front of their handler. They either bark or they get too excited when told to sit. In this case, we see a dog whose jaw is quivering. This dog's nerves are turned on. This is a very good dog. It was recently purchased by this handler, but the foundation training was not done well. We want the dog to learn to be calm and comfortable when sitting in front of his handler. This is what's needed for the dumbbell retrieve and the recall. This is accomplished in the drive, building, and focus stage of early training. Let's listen to Bernard talk about when he starts to give the sit command.
So when you want to make a quick sit, and that's the first step when you use the word sit or Platz. Then sitz, his butt is on the ground, open. Not to wait 3 seconds. That makes not quicker. That makes concentration, focusing. For me it's the same, but that makes not quicker. And when you want to do it with drive, then sit, or sit, hand goes high, Platz, or the hand goes down. Yeah? Sitz, Platz, and he lay down. This movement, Platz, and mostly dogs, they do by themselves. And when he is on the ground, the ball or the toy, in this case, is away. Yeah? That's 2 different stuff. When I teach concentration, then I use no sits. I raise up, no voice by that. The dog can stand, steh, he can lay, they normally don't do, or they make sit. But I don't use the word sit. When I use the first time the word sit, it's a combination as jerk and hands are raised up. The dog is touch. His hairs are on the ground. I slip the ball. I drop the ball. That makes a quick sit. And that is the first correction. No, not correction. That is the first jerk the dog gets from me. Because this movement the dog has learned a long time. When I use it with the first jerk, then I use the first word sit. Sitz, jerk, ball, the dog is on the ground, ball fall down. When he wants to try it with drive, the dog does well. He's in good concentration, he's good focusing, nice dog, I like him. Then make it leash here on the left side of your body. Sitz. You make this way, turn back, and by the turn back, jerk, hand high. And because we have a not moving positioning, one jerk. When you try to make a jerk behind the dog, of course you're not correct and not quick enough. Here, sits, and the dog immediately goes back, because when I make a jerk here, he goes on the other side. That's people, when I pull people, they step back. When I push people, they come in front. And that's the same here by the dog. Jerk in this way makes going backwards. And going backwards means butt on the ground. And in the same second, the ball comes high, it makes that movement by himself. You saw that? Please, try it. What? Wait. The dog stays there. I try to be your dog. Here's the leash. Please, will you go to the dog? Hold the leash. I think he stands up when he makes movements. He's allowed to stand up. Okay, I'm the dog. You turn around. Sit. Yeah, that was. Please show it to the people. We go back, and when I'm here, this is the jerk. Okay, we do it again. Sit. Yeah. Yeah. That is the movement. And very often, dog handlers with the dog are not able to make this movement. So I very often teach that without a dog. So I'm the dog. My butt was not on the ground. That was the reason he don't drop. Sit. That is when a dog is close by you.
Good boy, man.
A little bit tension in him. Aus. Come with me. Come. Come. Aus. Aus. Wait. Very soon. Aus. Jetzt. That's the way I teach Paco, young puppy, raised up by myself. These sits, and then the dog is quick because he learns quick. The quicker I am, the quicker I get success. You can do with food, or with balls, or toys.
When you have an adult dog that has not had a good foundation in training, the emphasis needs to be to calm the dog when he sits in the sit position in front of the handler. That can be done like this.
Fight him, Seal, fight him! Get him!
Turn to the other side so I can help you. So,
She's trying so hard.
Sit.
soft, very soft.
Sit. Sit.
Very soft. Open the hand, the dog has to sit.
Sit.
Very soft.
Sit.
And take one finger over his nose. Yeah. So the eyes get not blinking only, and try to use it in the other way. Very calmful feeling, not distracting the dog and fighting.
Right.
Preparing dumbbell retrieve. This is a nice position. Nothing to do with the out.
Get all the rest of the play work done.
I'm allowed to step between your legs. Turn around the other way.
Sit.
Did they have
I make no jerks. I only tighten the leash. And very softly, I looses the leash and she opens her hand. Nice feeling for the dog. Yeah. And running. Into your arms. One step over the feet. Do the house. Okay, next time, the loud voice is not necessary, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, wait a moment. Only one time step over the leash. You make the recall situation, yeah? In front, everything's fine. Both hands, sit.
And pull him in front?
Yeah, the recall. The dog is sitting in front and everything is fine. And give the word. Sit.
Sit. Good boy. Sit.
And out of this positioning, away from the field.
Good boy.
Yeah, that's nice. You're like
Let's go, buddy. Good boy.
This brings us to the end of this training tape. I've put a lot of information and a lot of details into this 2-hour training video. This tape is designed to be watched again and again. I believe that it's impossible for anyone to concentrate for 2 hours in one sitting and be able to remember everything that we've covered. My future training videos will be done on DVDs. That will make it much easier for people to go back and review different parts of the training program. I am here to tell you that the information in this video is a small drop in the bucket of the information that Bernard Flinks can teach you about sport dog training. I have been around the sport of Schutzen since 1974. I have never met an instructor who offers a better training program to Schutzen trainers. If you would like to have Bernard come to your area and give a seminar, I can guarantee you that you will never regret it. I'm including his address at the end of this tape. If you have an opportunity to attend one of Bernard's seminars, don't miss it. If you have to take a vacation and drive 12 hours, like I've done 4 times, to get to one of his seminars, don't hesitate to do it. And if you're a competition Schutzen dog trainer who would like to have some additional private coaching, Bernard offers private lessons at his kennel in Germany. Bernard will board your dog at his kennel. He has his own Schutzen field. There is a Schutzen club less than a mile from his kennel and a second training field right across the road from his house. You can stay at a guest house that's a 10-minute walk from his kennel, which costs less than $15 a day, and that includes breakfast. So if you are interested in private training at a reasonable price, I would highly recommend that you contact Bernard. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, have a great vacation in Germany with your dog, and learn from one of the best Schutzen coaches in the world. Can you imagine what it must be like to be a member of Bernard's Schutzen Club? In the coming months, I will be releasing a number of other training videos that I've filmed with Bernard. There will be a video on the motivational retrieve, a video on problem solving in drive work, a video on building grips and protection work, and a video on the blind search in Schutzen. If you would like to keep track of these new releases, I would direct you to my website. I always announce new video releases on the table of contents, and you can find a complete list of my training videos by following the links to the section on that site. My website is over 2,500 pages long. It's the largest dog training website on the internet. If you have a question on training, I have an excellent web discussion board that has hundreds of dog trainers who are willing to offer advice, some of which you may not want to follow. The board is not censored, and it does have some characters. If you would like one of my catalogs on my training videos, you can either call my office or go to my website and fill out the catalog request form. Our next training section deals with teaching the dog to focus and control his drive. The goal of our training has been to end up with a dog that can focus on his work while remaining in drive for 15 minutes. That's how long a Schutzen obedience routine lasts. We begin the focus training by putting a dog in drive and then very quickly raising the ball above his head and giving the sit command. In the first steps of training, the instant the dog sits, the ball is dropped so the dog can snatch it out of the air. It looks like this. Now, let's look at Bernard talk about focus work.
And when a dog is able to do that, close, training concentration, at first here, slip, slip, very often, 2 weeks. Then to come closer. And when he jumps, it's only away. It comes again. Jumping gives no success, focusing gives success. Jerry, will you step onto his tail? I take Jerry because he's not the smallest. It's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah, you see? He exactly knows it's not me. And Jerry is not a lightweight person. Out.
Could be in Ed's next video.
And the dog is not distracted. You see only this ear goes back. He knows that in training, in trial, in seminars like that, it will come. Yeah, he knows. But he knows exact also the ball will come. He don't know when, intermittent reinforcements, but he know it will. And when a dog is able to do that and not to jump and not give the success by himself, to make an obedience, Fuß is very easy, no jerks. Every time a nice feeling. Fuß means high drive. Raus. So, stop. He never seen. Is that right?
No.
Escape and protection. Attack and protection. Playing with a dog is preparing for obedience. Dumbbell retrieve. And escape, protection, attack. Slip because he got good. Come. You see? He don't notice. He smells. And when he drops, I don't take it in my hand. He has to bring it, and then we play. I'm not sure he does. I try to provocate. Two seconds, slip. 5 seconds, slip. 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And when a dog is able to do that, then he can do 15 minutes concentration in the trial. Yeah? Us. And this situation is dumbbell retrieve. Yeah? It's not the Ausfall. I know. Okay. Aus. Komm. 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 Aus. That is concentration. You don't like it. Come here. Come. He hates to do that. He knows I wants to have back. That's I hate. He slips by himself. Aus. He does by himself. So I try for the next time that he don't slips by himself. Huh? Before he can slip. Yeah? Aus. So that was the end. That's to tell. Maybe some people say stupid German, but now you see. At first I make a little bit drive movement. Yeah.
Now let's watch Bernard demonstrate how to work a dog in concentration or focus. He will work this dog that attended one of the seminars, and the dog doesn't know him. I include it to show you where a dog needs to be in focus to start the healing training.
Drive and concentration. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Come. Come with me. Come with me. Sit. And nice dog. Very nice dog. Come with me. I don't want that he drops before I say that he should drop. Come with me. Come with me. Out. Nice dog. Sit. When a dog is able for that, then Fuß can go on. But before it's no concentration and no drive. Before concentration.
Bernard makes this look pretty easy, but once again, it's not as easy as it looks. There are several issues that need to be addressed when we go to this level of training. New handlers need to understand how to drop the prey item for their dog. They need to know how to deal with dogs that jump, and they need to learn to out the ball on command. This is the beginning of the out command for bite work. When you make drive and put your dog into a sit, the correct way to drop the prey item is to open your fingers and let the prey item drop straight down from your hand. Oftentimes, new trainers make the mistake of tossing the prey item at the dog's mouth or tossing the item up in the air. When this happens, Bernard has a saying that I like. He says, in the wild, rabbits don't jump into the mouth of the dog. The dog has to catch the rabbit. What he means is, don't throw the prey item into the mouth of the dog. We want the dog to catch the prey as it falls from our hand. When you have a high drive young adult, or an adult that you are starting this work with, you will find that when you raise the prey item above your head to make him sit, it's only a matter of time before the dog is going to try and jump up and grab the prey. Good dogs are going to try everything they know how to do to get the prey before they figure out that what they really need to do is concentrate and focus, which gives them the success they want. When a dog jumps, you simply raise your arm so he cannot get the prey and tell him to sit again. He must learn that jumping accomplishes nothing. He must learn that jumping, for sure, does not get him his prey item.
I want to show the steps to come to that. Open your hand. Good success for the dog. He has learned the higher I jump, the quicker I get success. But that's not possible then to train obedience with a drive goal in his eyes. He can see because he takes success by himself. When he's not able to hold, hold it by yourself. Here it is. When the dog, hold the dog. When the dog is not able to control himself, or he feels that the handler can control him. When the ball is here, how I can train obedience with the ball, and the dog can see. When I take the ball to that point, and the dog, and I make movement with my body, immediately the dog goes in. Of course he goes in, because he has not learned to wait for the allowance to get success. I have at first to train here. He waits for opening my hand, or pack it, or voran, what you want to say. When a dog is trained like my Ito, you saw my Fuß, my ball can close to his nose and he don't goes in. And that gives the high success. He is not able to make that, or the dog maybe has learned by remote not to do. But this is the first step, to learn to control his drive. And we need for protection. Aus means to go out and stay out. When a dog is not able to control his drive, he goes in. He tries the same stuff in a blind, by hold and bark. But when he has learned, the toy will move, and then I'm allowed to go in. Then he waits for protection, and then it's very easy for obedience. So now we try to teach your dog that he has to wait. Jumping is no success, and you take the ball here and your hand goes between ball and his eyes, and you try to come closer, and hopefully he don't bite him not into your hands. Then you have a problem. You see, a tough dog with a high prey drive stands still. When he jumps, only rise up, not moving, only higher, higher, higher into the air, higher. You can take the rope shorter. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Jumping gives no success, but this dog has learned jumping gives success. So he tries more and more. Do it 3 or 4 days, and jumping gives no success. These movement, these behavior, jumping, goes away more and more. And try to come closer to your dog. Jump, jump, drop. Then the dog learns focusing, that stuff that will give success. And that is teaching concentration. Yeah? Into your arms, and run. You need not to go down onto your knees, that's not important. And by movements you make the Aus. Now, out, out! Okay. Ball, drive. Out. Yeah. Aus means open the mouth and stay aus, not to go in when you want to go in. That is protection. Aus means to go out and stay out. And you're only allowed to go in when there is a movement into the sleeve, an attack or an escape or stuff like that. Yeah, make a little bit. And your hands between. The hands, your left hand between the toy and the eyes of a dog, to try to control your dog. The ball stays a little bit, and come closer with the ball. Yeah, that's okay. And closer, slowly come closer. Slowly left and right. Slowly left and right. Slowly with the hand to the left and right side. Okay. And back. Stay. And the other hand in front. And deeper. And back. Okay. A little bit turning to your dog. And the hand between. The hand between. Closer. And drop. Yeah? The dog learned jumping, no success. Focusing gives success. I tried to help him now because it's an older dog. With jerk. Closer. 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 Okay. Deeper. Deeper. The other hand more in front, the left hand more in front of the dog. Closer, closer with it. No, stop. The right hand deeper. No. Stable. And the hand with the ball deeper. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Yeah. Okay. And the hand in front. Come closer to the dog with both hands. And open. Drop? Yeah, drop. He don't open. He has to learn by himself, training without a dog. Yeah? He makes this movement and then makes a jump again. But much better now.
Here we'll watch Bernard work with another dog that really is not ready for focus work. But we use it to demonstrate how to handle the leash on a dog that barks a lot. This dog and every dog must learn that barking is not the solution for them to get success.
Sit. I take the leash. What I have to do. Sit. 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 You see? I want to have no barking, concentration, no turn on nerve. The dogs should learn focusing gives success, not stupid barking. You see that? Will you try?
Oh no, they want the money.
Okay, the leash into your left hand. The leash in front of the dog. So now, driving, a little bit, a little more, turning around, and here, and a jerk. Sit. Back is a jerk.
So to me, not back that way to make her sit.
Yeah. She's very long, no barking. Drop it. Drop it now. Yeah, very fine. So that is a way it stays 1.5 or 2 weeks. 2 times a day training when you do it in the right way. So the dog learns to control his nerves. He wants to play with you, but he knows only to be quiet or to be quick gives success, but not barking.
Nope.
And then the barking is away and the nerves are clearer. Will you try to do it again? Sit! It's this hand goes high and this hand make this hard correction.
They were all, yeah, they were all excited.
Do it again. Your jerk was not hard enough and your command sit was nice, but the command with the jerk in combination should make a little bit cleared nerve.
Bigger impression on it.
Get that ball coming back at you 70 miles. Bulletproof.
Hi, Ben.
Pick me up next time.
Turn right, turn right, turn right. Release shorter, and now sit. Now, you see, that was a good combination. To the right time, the main and the hard jerk, and there was no bark.
Right.
And that is the thing a dog learns. Yeah?
Yeah.
Try to do it again.
They always do.
I don't know, I heard sirens when I saw him go that way, so I'm thinking,
Yeah, nice. And now?
Sit.
Okay, that's very nice. That is the way to clear the nerves of the dog.
There are 4 areas concerning the first steps of grip work that we need to talk about in a little more detail. Even though you have just seen Bernard do all 4 things, he makes them look too simple. The first is running with the dog. The second is teaching the dog the meaning of the command into my arms. The third is holding. And the fourth is playing tug with the prey. The purpose for running in a circle is to teach the dog to carry the prey and have a calm grip. There is a technique to running a dog in a circle. The secret is that you want to learn to always stay ahead of your dog. It makes the training easier. Here is how it's done. To begin with, the circle does not need to be very large. Big circles just tire you and your dog out, so keep them small. As you run, you need to call your dog to you with an encouraging, happy tone in your voice. It sounds like this. Come to me, come here, come to me. Your dog will always want to come to you if you sound like you're happy and want to play with him. You may have to give light pops on the leash to get him to move to you. Then, by pivoting your body as he approaches and making a step or two at a 90-degree angle away from the dog, you will always be able to keep him moving in a circle, and you will always be ahead of him, which makes it easier to work the dog into your arm and grab the prey to play tug with him. When you learn to do this, the results of your training are going to improve. It's very important to keep the leash loose while the dog runs. A tight leash is not a comfortable feeling for a dog. It strangles the dog and it makes him lose drive. By talking to him as he runs, by telling him what a fine dog he is and how nice he is, he will want to run with you and he'll run on a loose lead. If a trainer runs too slowly, he will quickly learn that his dog will start to mouth and chew on the prey item. So if your dog is chewing as he runs, then you either need to increase the speed that you're running at, because this causes the dog to grip it firmer or risk dropping it, or jerk the ball out of his mouth and go back into drive work. If at any time during this process the dog drops the prey, or if you can pull the prey out of the dog's mouth during the tug session, go right back into drive like you see here. Bernard is quick to point out that if you use a tug toy, and some dogs like a tug better than a ball on a string, it's important to hold the toy on both ends and not just the strap on one end. It's easier for the dog to hold on to. It's easier on his neck.
My feeling says he's a little bit soft. My dogs like that are like, yeah, that's fine, but not boom, yeah? Fine. That's fine. And try every time go fighting like that, backwards, so the dog's back stays in angle, running. She's too soft. It's in her brain a puppy, and it isn't a puppy. And fight. Ah! Why he don't do by me? Yeah? Yeah, leash and running.
Good boy, come on, buddy.
Ease,
Come on,
swoosh,
Come on, girl.
and to your arms, 1 second, and fight. Ah, too late.
Too late.
Yeah, and running.
Come on, buddy. There.
And while running, touch him on the complete body. Yeah, that's fine.
Good boy.
If you have been around Schutzen training for any period of time, you have seen training exercises where the dog is expected to hold the tug or the sleeve up off the ground after the helper slips it. The best way to do this is for the handler to take the dog in his arms and support the dog's head by putting his arm under the dog's neck and chin and holding the head up. This is a good training exercise. It stops the dog from putting the sleeve on the ground and mouthing. It also helps calm the dog and gets him used to holding the sleeve. It's a much better way than trying to hold the dog's head up with the leash. That just strangles the dog at the collar. Bernard has expanded this concept into drive work. He teaches the dog the command, "into my arms." When the dog is running, he will take the dog in his arms. He puts his arm under the neck of the dog so that the elbow is under the chin and his hand is around and on the shoulder of the dog. This hand needs to be away from the collar and certainly not holding the collar. He will very gently and slowly stroke the side of the dog from the shoulder to the back leg. As he does this, he softly says to the dog, "That's fine. That's a good dog." Then he will release the dog and let it run again. This is an extremely important part of the early stages of the training program. The goal of this exercise is to calm the dog, to teach the dog that he can come to his handler and not have to worry or stress about being forced to out the toy. We want to teach the dog that when he comes to his handler, he's going to have good feelings, not stressful feelings. When a dog thinks that you're going to take his toy away from him, this causes him stress, which in turn causes him to mouth the prey. Mouthing is often a nerve issue. Turned on nerves causes mouthing. This exercise, when it's done properly, eliminates that. When a dog hears the command, "into my arms," 4 things can happen. He will quietly get praised by his handler. He will get a chance to play tug with the handler, like you see here. Or he will possibly have a chance to run again and carry the prey item. He will occasionally out the prey, but this does not happen often enough to cause the dog any concern. And when he does out the prey, he learns that he will immediately, instantly go back into drive work, so outing is not a concern. I'd like to take a second here to emphasize the proper hand position that a handler should use when he takes his dog into his arms. We'll also demonstrate how to properly praise the dog. It's important to remember that the hand that holds the dog should never be in the area of the collar, like you see here. For one thing, it's too easy for the handler to accidentally forget and grab the collar if the dog tries to slip away. Grabbing the dog by the collar only adds stress to the dog, and stress causes mouthing. So, keep your hand on either the chest, the front chest, or the side shoulder of the dog, and away from the collar. And then slowly praise your dog. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Tell the dog, "That's fine. That's a good dog." Make him feel comfortable in your arms. We want him to calm down. We want to soothe the dog and have him feel comfortable in our arms. So talk to him. "That's fine. That's a good dog." When you talk to your dog like that, you're going to see that he relaxes in your arms. And that's the goal here, is to build a relationship where the dog comes to you, feels comfortable being with you, and he's going to do that with how you hold him and how you talk to him. So once again, when you take the dog into your arms, talk to the dog. "That's fine." And when you pet him slowly. Let's take a minute and watch some common mistakes that new handlers make when they attempt this work. This handler has a really nice dog. She could do a couple of things a little better. She does not need to go down on her knees when she praises the dog. And she needs to praise a little slower. She pats the dog on the back and on the head. This makes the dog a little hectic. Praising with quick pats on the head raises the nerves of the dog.
And yeah, very nice. The next time you fight with the dog, into your arms and fight. Very nice grip. Yeah? But what you saw by her hands? Was that a nice calmful feeling, or was that raising up?
It has a real long calming stroke.
She does?
No, I said
They weren't.
Now you make long movements. Before that, you make movements like this.
Ah.
Yeah? Turned on the nerves of a dog. This movement, long down the leg. That's fine. And there is one thing more. You don't like it,
No,
he don't like it. So touch the dog after the collar. And his ears stays high and the eyes starts not blinking. When you go over his eyes, the ears starts blinking. Is that the right word?
yes,
Yeah?
yes.
Very nice. Good grip. We cannot see it's hard or not, but it's calmful. Fight. It was not hard. Okay. Yeah, that is very nice. That is we need for protection. Helper can go back into the sleeve. Make a nice grip work. Training the grip.
New trainers ask how often and how long should I take my dog into the arms? The answer to these questions varies. With new dogs, we first want to teach the exercise, so we'll take the dog into the arms quite often, and only for short periods of time in the beginning. If a dog will hold a calm grip, we'll hold the dog longer. Some dogs act a little nervous or antsy when you first start doing this work. Those dogs need to learn that there's no reason to get nervous over coming into the arms, so the handler should do it a lot more. My dog is a little wired, so I expanded this work by taking the dog into my arms and praising him while I was home, when he was in the house, when he was in the kennel, when I was at the beach. He learned that it's a nice feeling to come into my arms. When you watch Bernard work a dog that's not his dog, he doesn't run the dog in a circle a lot. He'll run him around, take the dog into the arms, stroke him, say, that's fine, that's a good dog, and let him run again. He'll run him in a circle, grab him, stroke him, let him run again, until the dog learns to be comfortable in his arms. When you have your dog in your arms, you can either run him again, which is good for calming the dog, or you can fight with him again. If you make the decision to play tug with him again, try and jerk the toy out of his mouth while he's still in your arms. This really builds drive in your dog and can cause the dog to grip the prey tighter next time because he doesn't want you to rip it out of his mouth. Now let's listen to Bernard explain this process to the new trainer.
Into your arms. And fight. Yeah, that's fine. Run again.
Good
Into
boy.
your arms. And now we try to get back the toy without the word aus. The dog is very calmful and very nice, and with this hand, whoop, you try to rip out.
Okay.
Do it. No,
I went in front of him, didn't I?
she goes over. The dog sees the movement and close. Oh.
The mistake here was the handler, rather than jerking the tug out from the side by the handle, reached over the eyes of the dog and tried to rip it out of the dog's mouth. That was too much of a signal to the dog to tell him what you were going to do. It allowed him to clamp down. What we want him to do is learn to grip firm all the time, and not just when he gets a signal.
And it should be the end, running away from the field. That is socialize with the dog. It's not he's sitting in a kennel and I give him food and I walk. This playing builds more good feeling than to lay on the ground and to let him sleep into your bed. Maybe that's not bad, but I don't like it. The dogs in my house, they are in a pack. We talk about that later. But this playing with a dog builds more good feeling between dog and handler than to sleep in the same bed with him. Yeah? Okay.
We want our dogs to learn to have a calm grip. This work begins with running with the dog and holding the dog in our arms to calm him. If a dog mouths the prey item as we hold him in our arms, it is possible to teach him that we don't like this. Bernard explains this process here.
I don't like these chewing, so I give him a calmful feeling. Maybe fingers to his nose. I'm provocated now chewing.
What Bernard said here is he provokes the dog to chew by picking him up. If your dog prematurely outs the prey, he's obviously not learned to hold the prey. It's the job of the handler to recognize this problem and deal with this issue in training. The handler needs to anticipate the out, and just before the dog drops the prey, the handler needs to run with the dog again, like you just saw, or play tug with the dog. Some dogs will drop the prey just as the handler takes the dog into the arms, and some dogs will drop the prey just as the handler stops. The handler needs to recognize this, and they only pause for an instant before they either move again or play tug again. But the concept is to teach the dog to have a calm grip and not release the prey. Earlier in the tape, we briefly mentioned how important it is for the handler to hold the tug toys properly while playing with your dog. When playing tug, the handler must hold both ends of the tug toy and not just the end on the strap. If you hold the strap, if you only hold the strap, you are forcing your dog to turn the head sideways and then play tug. This is not comfortable for the dog. It's much better to hold the tug with both hands, like you see here, and move the tug from side to side, not up and down. If a handler moves the tug up and down, it creates too much potential stress on the spine of the dog. Playing tug by moving the head up and down is similar to cracking a whip. It's much better to move it back and forth than it is to snap the dog up and down. This is a good way to play tug with your dog. If you have watched this tape from the beginning, you know that we're going to reach a point where we need to teach the dog to out the prey. Training the out to young dogs is a simple task. Training the out to adult dogs, which have either a training problem or which are slightly dominant, is a totally different issue. It's beyond the scope of this training video to deal with solving issues on adult dogs that have out problems. This is a subject that needs to be the topic of its own training video. So, on young dogs or puppies or adults that have never had out training, here are the questions new handlers need to think about. They need to understand what the concept is of training the out. They need to understand when to start the training. They need to understand how to train the command. They need to know how often they should use the command and what to do if the dog does not out. To better train the out exercise, handlers need to grasp the concept of the out command. Training the out is a frame of mind. The handler needs to look at the toys as his toys and not the dog's toys. When the handler tells his dog to out, the dog must open his mouth and drop what's in it. After the out, the dog must not go back in and try to grip again until the handler either gives the bite command, a pocken, or the prey item moves and brings the dog back into drive. So basically, out means out and stay out. The first question one needs to ask is, when should I begin to teach the out command? The answer to this question is not until the dog has a firm grip and is calm when it comes into the arms of the handler. If you have done the foundation work on puppies properly, then you can think about the out training at 13 to 14 weeks of age. That's assuming the pup has a firm grip and is not easily distracted. If dogs are prematurely releasing their grip without the out command, they're not ready for the out training. They need to continue the grip work. We've already touched on this earlier in the tape. The fact is that it's much harder to get a firm, solid grip than it is to get the dog to out. Training the out is simple. Training the grip is difficult. If you make a mistake and train the out too soon or out the dog too often, you will quickly lose your grip. If your dog starts to think about the out when he comes into your arms, you're going to start to have a dog that mouths the prey. Bernard likes to say, teaching the out while you maintain the grip requires a trainer to think. With young dogs or puppies, training the out begins when the handler takes the dog into his arms. When the dog has a calm feeling, the handler gives the out command, and a split second later takes a handful of skin from the dog's side, which needs to cause a sharp pain for the dog. The handler instantly jerks his hand away from the spot he has just pinched, so when the dog looks back, he does not see the hand there. This needs to be very, very quick. The dog cannot anticipate or see the hand that causes the pain. A lot of new trainers do not take their hand away from the side quick enough. This causes the dog to drop the prey item when the handlers touch their dog's sides in later training. When the dog drops the prey, it helps if the handler anticipates the drop and has his foot ready to instantly kick the prey away or grab it and put the dog back into drive billing. The issue of rebiting the prey item after the dog has outed is eliminated if the handler is quick enough to kick the prey away. The dog cannot regrip if the toy is kicked away fast enough. Handlers need to deal with the question of how often do you try and train the out command. Giving the out command to puppies once every 3 or 4 days is a good rule of thumb in drive building. More often than that is only going to cause problems with young dogs. With older dogs, during the learning phase, handlers would want to give the out command once in every 10 times that they're taking their dogs into their arms. As training progresses, handlers need to take advantage of intermittent training techniques. This basically means that they do not establish a pattern. One time they may out the dog every 10 times into the arms. The next time they out the dog every 3 times in the arms, then 2 times, then 8 times, so that there is no pattern. Key to this training is to recognize and use intermittent training. Watch how Bernard handles this dog after the out. See how he tries to comfort the dog and calm the dog after the out. He does not want the dog to anticipate the next out command. Notice how mouthy and chewy this dog has got just after a couple of out commands.
Want to have him in a standing position, yeah? Us? That's fine. Come.
the beginning of training older dogs, it's not uncommon to have an older dog that does not want to out the prey item. With these older dogs, a leash and a prong collar are better training tools. Here, Bernard demonstrates the out on a dog that does not have dominant handler issues.
That was concentration, please. Oh, that was nice. Okay, out.
Out.
Good dog. Nice
You
dog.
got a very high pain tolerance, by the way.
Say out again.
Out.
Drive and concentration. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Come. Come with me. Come with me. Sit. And nice dog. Very nice dog. Come with me. I don't want that he drops before I say that he should drop. Come with me. Come with me. Out. When a dog is able for that, then food can go on. But before it's no concentration and no drive. Before concentration.
Now, let's watch this dog rebite after the out command. The problem is a very common problem seen in many adult dogs that have not been properly trained. This is an adult dog that had recently been imported from the Czech Republic. So the training issue is not with this handler, but the previous Czech handlers. Bernard will then explain his philosophy on the out after he identifies the problem that this dog demonstrates.
Fighting or running? What he wants to do. Make the aus when it's possible.
Boost! Good boy.
Okay.
Good boy.
Two situations are possible. After the out, packing or stuff like that again, the dog is allowed to go in. Or aus. Aus means to stay aus. I make movements with my string onto the toy, or I say aus. Yeah, this teaching you have to wait for my allowance with a word, packing or voran, or movements. These are the two ways, but not to make the success by himself. Preparing for protection.
So, when the dog is outing the prey item on command, then it's important to wait a few seconds after he outs before making the dog either go back into drive or giving the pocking command to rebite again. This is the beginning of teaching the dog that out means out and stay out.
You can do the aus.
Aus!
Yep. And drive. And the concentration. Sit.
Well, my mom
Make
needs
movements.
to talk to me. Well, so what? It's still a lot. I want to last 15 minutes. Ready, set, go.
No. Provocating distractions. That's the next step, yeah? Next time, you're sitting in front, you make movements here, and softly, that's fine, fine dog. And the same stuff by movement, yeah? Okay. Drive. Yep. And raise up. Raise up. Now, this, the left hand makes movement, and maybe your feet or your hand touch him. Softly, not so hard. And dropping. Yeah, the dog learns. Just movement, touching, distraction, it's not a big deal. Only focusing the ball, then I get success. Yeah? And later, a strange person like me can do stuff like that. Yeah? Very nice.
I would be the first person to tell you that there's a lot more to training dogs to out than what we have time for in this tape. There are issues of non-compliance and handler aggression on tough and dominant dogs that need to be taken into consideration for many dogs. There's just not enough time here to go into these issues. In the future, I will do a video that only deals with the out.
Mine. Boy. Very good. That's mine.
Almost all new trainers have some problems with this work. I'll take a few minutes here to first list the most common handler errors that we see. Then we're going to go back and look at each one of these so you can recognize the problems that these errors create. Some handlers try and work with balls who have strings that are too long. Some handlers have toys or prey items that have no string on them at all. Some dogs are distracted by the surroundings that the training is going on. Some handlers move too slowly, while other handlers move too fast, and some handlers move too much. Some handlers try and get their dog's attention by hitting them with the prey item. Dogs that have had too much obedience training often have some form of problem with drive building. Some handlers hold the leash too tight during the drive building phase. Some handlers try and train without any leash at all. Some handlers get bit by their dogs. And some dogs just lack the drive to do the work. Now, let's go back and look at what happens when handlers make these errors. Many people raise their puppies by playing with a ball on a string. This is okay for puppy work, but as a dog matures, it gets quicker. This means it's harder and harder to keep the ball or the prey item away from the dog. Dogs often end up targeting the string and not the prey item. Handlers need to recognize this and shorten the string when that happens. Many handlers also play with two balls. This is not recommended for people doing drive building. There's no reason to have a second prey item in your hand during this training.
The dog starts barking the holders. The dog learns.
It's probably a better idea to have a thicker cord on your ball than what you see here. If the string is too thin, it can cut your hand if the dog grabs a prey item and gives it a good hard jerk. While drive building can be done with a ball that doesn't have any string at all, it's a good way to get your hand bit by a dog that has good drive. Some dogs have excellent prey drive, but they become distracted by their surroundings. If this happens, these dogs need to be taken away from the location you're working at. This can be as simple as moving the dogs a few yards back from the people that are distracting it, or a dog may need to be taken to a completely new, comfortable location. This could mean the dog's own backyard. When you watch this dog, you can see that it's almost more interested in the spectators than it is the prey item. This is an example of a dog that's distracted by its surroundings. Some handlers move too slowly. They must learn to move quicker and put more life into their prey item. Some people can do this, some can't. The problem when the prey item does not move fast enough is the dog gets bored and loses interest and becomes distracted. Other handlers get a little nervous or a little uptight when they train. This filters down and it shows in their work. That's the case with this trainer. He has a nice dog. He just needs to learn to relax a little and enjoy the training. Some handlers that initially have problems moving the prey item fast enough to trigger the dog's prey drive are going to have to use the Kong on a horsewhip. This is an example of that. Now, this dog is also an example of a dog that does not have a lot of prey drive.
Raise it into the air. Let it jump. Yeah, that's fine. When he has it into his mouth, that's fine. Yeah, use your voice. That's the reason you have it. Yeah, that is. You see? Very soft dog. Very low level. It's not the gray color that bites. That's what we say in German. You see, very quick distracted, only through the leash is going under his body. Yeah, use your voice, that's fine. Yeah, that is fine.
Some handlers have no problem moving themselves. They just move the prey item too slowly, and they make it too easy for the dog to catch the prey. This does not build drive in the dog. Remember that drive comes from movement and frustration. Stimulating the dog and making the dog miss the bite builds the drive. Here Bernard takes the toy and shows the handler what he means about making the dog target the grip, make the dog miss the grip, which builds drive. Other handlers simply can't move fast enough because of their physical condition to be able to do a good job building drive. These handlers should enlist the help of a second person to double handle the leash on the dog. This means that a second handler holds the dog leash while the owner of the dog makes drive. It looks like this. The fact is, this training is hard work. You're going to sweat if you do a good job of building drive. This can be difficult on some older trainers. Some handlers really move around a lot when they try and make drive with their dogs. There are a couple of issues here. Too much movement in the body can cause the dog to look at the handler's body as prey item and not the prey item itself. If you watch this dog closely, you'll see that the dog is trying to grab her arms and bite her leg and jump up on her. This dog looks at the handler as a prey item. The second issue is that covering too much ground just takes energy out of the dog. We want to focus that energy into making drive and not into keeping up with the handler. The best leash for this work is a lightweight 15-foot line. Proper use of your voice in the leash is critical to good handling in drive making. A 6-foot leather training leash is not the best training aid. There's a fine line between having to hold the line while making drive because your dog does not have enough drive yet and it may run off, and dropping the leash so the dog can drag it around until you need it later. If you go to Bernard's seminars, you will hear him constantly telling people, use your voice, talk to your dog. Here's a good example of a handler who's new to this work that has a young dog that's not yet focused enough on the prey item. It gets distracted and runs off. Having this dog on a line would allow the handler to call his dog back to him as he gave him light pops on the long line. Next, we're going to look at a dog With a lot of drive, there's no reason for this handler to hold the leash during drive work. The dog will stay with her and drive after she drops a leash, so there is no reason to hold it.
Quick, drop the leash. It's a bad leash for that, but it's better than no leash. Yeah. And throw away the ball. Throw away. Throw away. And call the dog back to you. Yeah, that's a dog with straight drive. And he's good looking.
There are going to be a lot of people who want to start this drive building training that have already done a lot of obedience training on their dogs. These people who have trained their dogs with compulsion are going to have to spend more time playing with their dogs in drive making to rebuild the trust between the dog and the handler. This is done through playing.
It's not a good thing to hit the dog with a prey. That's a bad starting.
I got a big one like that.
You know, we've seen the dog yesterday and the last days. We know this is a dog who is very soft by using compulsion. And with this kind of playing with the dog gets a little bit more trust to the handler. Yeah, that was good.
It would be nice to be able to tell you that this training program will work on every dog. Unfortunately, it will not. A dog must have prey drive to do this work. If a dog is too soft in temperament or just does not have enough prey drive, then it's not going to be trained in protection work. It's not possible to train this dog in prey drive. To train a dog in protection work, we only have 3 drives to work with: prey drive, defense drive, and fight drive. Some call this aggression drive. Without prey drive, the only options for training are to train in defense and aggression. With a soft dog like this, that means putting it on a table and table training it, or tie it to a fence where it can't back up and stress it until it bites in fight or flight. These are both total shit training methods. You have to pardon my language, but I feel very strongly about this. If you would like to read about why table training is such a negative way to train a dog, I would direct you to my website. I have written an article on why table training is so bad for dogs. If you are a new dog trainer and you visit a Schutzen club that uses tables for protection training, my advice is that you turn around and walk away from that club, because you're either looking at people who do not understand dog training, or you're looking at people who are barbaric dog trainers. Now, let's get back to a more positive form of training: drive building. The list of handler mistakes in drive building is almost unlimited. Those that I have listed and demonstrated are the most common. The main reason I've included as many as I have in this video is because I want to make it very clear that drive building is not easy. It's not as easy as Bernard makes it look. Let's watch him one more time. This kind of handling should be your goal when you work with your own dog. This is also the kind of drive we would like to see before we start focus work. Remember, the end goal of drive building is to provide you with a training tool called drive. We then use that tool to teach a dog to control himself while in drive, so he can learn to focus on a task. We're not out there playing ball on a string just to create a lot of hectic drive and make fun with our dogs. Our goal is to work with the dog so we can put it into drive whenever we want to. And when we can put a dog in high drive, then we can expand the training into focus and self-control work. If a dog cannot demonstrate self-control while in drive, then he's not going to have a good out in protection work. If a dog cannot demonstrate self-control in drive, then he's not going to do good obedience work. Control can only come in 2 ways: either through compulsion, in which case the dog looks like crap in the work, or control can come through self-control and anticipation while in drive, in which case the dog looks like a happy working dog. So that's what this work is all about. It gives you a training tool called drive. It gives you a tool to use in your backyard by yourself that allows you to start the preliminary steps of protection training and obedience training. When I talk to people about Bernard's work, their first comment is, hey, all this is playing ball on a string. And to an extent, that's true, except Bernard has perfected the game and made it into a powerful training tool. To better demonstrate, I will first show you Bernard doing drive work with his personal dog, Etor. Etor is a street police dog. He's also a top competition Schutzen dog. After we watch Bernard, I will include a couple of trainers attempting to do the same thing. Then we will analyze exactly what it is Bernard does that makes this look so easy.
I ask him, he wants to play with me. Yeah, he wants to play with me, yeah? And then I take the ball. Come here. Drive, movement. I make a little bit drive.
Now, let's watch a couple of trainers who are new to this work attempt drive building. I want to stress that this is difficult work, and I'm in no way trying to imply that these people are not good dog trainers. If I had video of me doing the work when I first started to do this, you'd see a lot of scars on my arms and how uncoordinated I look.
It's away. Yeah. Good dog. Very nice. And raise up. In. Oops. Wait. Pick up. Yeah.
The only purpose for showing you these new trainers is to demonstrate that more people than not have problems when they first attempt drive building. This is not easy work. But remember, if you don't have prey drive, you won't have a calm grip. If you don't have prey drive, you won't be training your dog in sport protection work. Prey drive does not mysteriously appear one day when you take the dog out to the training field to do protection work. But if you learn to do these drive building exercises at home, along with the work that follows with them, your dog will be well prepared to start bite work when the time comes. Let's take a look one more time at Bernard, and we'll analyze exactly what he does that makes this work look so easy. The key is to put quick movement into the prey item. The emphasis here is to stimulate prey drive. Quick movement does this. Think of a mouse or a rabbit being chased. Again, the emphasis is quick movement on the prey item and not movement in your body. Too much movement in your body turns your body into a prey item. A lot of people with very young puppies find this out when they complain that their puppies bite their hands and feet and legs. It's because the puppies have not identified other items as prey items. Let's watch Bernard in slow motion. Notice that he holds the cord about 6 inches from the ball. This is an important issue. It does not allow the dog to bite the string. A very effective technique that he uses is to present the ball on one side of his body and stimulate the dog to bite it. Just as the dog opens his mouth to grab the ball, he jerks it back around the back of his body. Then, with the ball behind his back, he passes it to his other hand and quickly presents it to the dog on the opposite side that he first made the presentation. This kind of reminds me of a matador fighting a bull. This is very effective for fast dogs. A quick dog Or a dog that has a lot of drive will go flying by you as you jerk the ball away from and out of his mouth. All you have to do is pivot, pass the ball behind your back to your other hand so you can then present the toy on the opposite side of your body. It's a very effective way to control the dog during drive building. The key is to jerk the ball just as the dog opens his mouth to bite the toy. Making the dog miss builds frustration, and frustration builds drive. Let's talk about when to start focus training. Not every dog is going to be ready to start focus work on the first day of drive building. Many dogs are going to have to take a week or two of working 2 or 3 minute training sessions 2 or 3 times a day before they're ready for focus training. Here's another way to look at it. If a dog is not high enough in drive, it does not have a reason to focus on the prey item. In other words, if we have not created enough desire in the dog to make it want to play with the prey item, then how can we expect that dog to focus on the prey item when we want it to? The answer is we can't. Dogs like this, and the one you just watched before, do not have enough drive to do focus work. Neither does this dog or this dog. When you can pull a ball out of the mouth of the dog, and when the dog goes to bite the ball and doesn't get it because he doesn't grip down hard enough, that dog does not have enough drive to do focus work. When you have a dog like this, you need to let the dog grab the prey item when it's at the point that you think that the dog is at its peak in drive for that point in time. It can then either carry the prey item, or we can play tug with the prey item, or we can have the dog just hold the prey item while we calmly praise the dog. The calm praise is the first step in building trust between the handler and the dog. Now, let's take a second and watch Bernard as he takes a young dog, and this is not his dog, through this kind of a training step. In a few minutes, I will go into detail on how to take a dog into your arms and calm him. We actually teach a command to the dog called "into my arms." So, on dogs that are not ready to go into the focus training, this is the training step after drive work, teaching the dog to carry and to have trust in the handler. When Bernard takes the dog into his arms, he's saying, "That's fine, that's a good dog." This relaxes the dog and makes him feel comfortable with the carry. If there's any apprehension in the dog, it goes away with this kind of handling. Handling does not get any better than this. Now, let's look at a young dog that has good prey drive, but the prey drive has not been developed enough to do good focus work. Here we watch Bernard allow the dog to grab the ball. He lets the dog carry the ball, but he keeps a hold of the string. As he moves the dog in a circle, he jerks the ball out of the dog's mouth and goes back into drive building. This is what needs to be done with dogs during the first 2 weeks of this work. You may have to jerk the ball out of the dog's mouth 30 to 40 times before the dog realizes that it must grip the ball in a firm mouth or it's going to lose it. When you do this work, you have to use a ball with a little longer cord on it. This is one of the first steps in grip building. You can do it with a young dog. You can do it with a puppy. But I will guarantee you that it's not as easy as Bernard makes it look. Hello, my name is Ed Frawley. I'll be your narrator on this video on training drive, focus, and grip with Bernard Flinks. Bernard is a German police canine handler with 25 years experience. He is also one of the top Schutzen competitors in the world today. Bernard has been in the German Bundesliga 4 times. In 3 of those competitions, he had the highest protection score in the trial. In the 4th Bundesliga, he had the 2nd highest protection score. Bernard lives and works in northern Germany, but he travels all over the world holding seminars on training sport Schutzen dogs. He also offers private lessons to individuals who take their dogs to his kennel in Germany. In my opinion, Bernard Flinks gives one of the best Schutzen seminars that you could ever attend. What sets Bernard apart is not just the fact that he gives outstanding seminars, but the information that he brings to his seminars is truly a great training program. In fact, it's the best Schutzen training program that I've seen in 25 years of being around the sport. The basis of Bernard's training is to build drive in the dog. Every dog has a genetic potential for a certain level of drive. This level varies according to the individual dog's genes. The foundation of Bernard's program is to bring a dog up to its own level of genetic drive. Through drive, the dog is trained to focus. A dog must be able to focus for 15 minutes to get through a Schutzen obedience routine. Many training programs teach obedience or protection exercises, but most fail to train the dog to maintain focus for any period of time. Unless the dog is taught to focus for an extended period of time, it will lose interest during a competition. Teaching the dog how to focus and grip are key points to Bernard's training program. Probably the most important part of Bernard's program is that he shows handlers how to teach the dog that training and working with the handler can be fun. The goal through all of his work is to build a relationship of trust between the dog and the handler. This video will teach the beginning of Bernard Flinks' training program. In it, we want to teach the dog that training and working with the handler can be fun. We want to teach the dog that going into high drive will give the dog drive satisfaction. In other words, training in high drive results in a dog learning much quicker than a dog trained with compulsion. We want to also teach a dog to be comfortable when the handler is near him, when he has his prey item. We want to teach the dog to keep a firm, confident grip on the prey item at all times. We want to teach the dog to carry the prey item and play fight for it. We want to teach the dog to focus and concentrate while in drive, and to teach the dog that sit, heel, and plats are drive commands, not compulsion commands. And finally, we want to teach the dog to out the prey item when he's told to, but we also want to teach him that outing does not have to be a conflict between the handler or the helper and the dog. Now, before I go into the detailed training steps for this program, I think it's important to give you a brief overview or synopsis of what we want to train our dogs to do in this video. We assume that a dog has some level of prey drive before he enters the training. Without prey drive, there's no hope for training. The first phase of training deals with the handler building drive and a calm grip on prey items. Bernard's prey item of choice is a rubber ball on a cord. The cord offers the ability to put movement into the prey. He also works with bite tubes, rubber hoses, or whatever works. He'll advise trainers that they need to use the toy or the item that their dog likes the most. Later in this video, we'll show you how to determine what items the dogs prefer. In the drive building phase, we will teach the dog that going into high drive results in him being able to either bite the prey item, fight with the prey item, or carry the prey item. But before he is allowed to do these things, he must first go into a sit or down and focus for a short period of time before he gets the ball. This is the beginning of work needed to train the dog to focus. The dog also learns that occasionally, not often, he will have to out the item. We teach him that being told to out does not happen very often, and certainly not often enough for him to be concerned about. He also learns that once he outs the prey, he will immediately be able to re-engage the item and go back into drive. When the light bulb goes off in a dog's head and he begins to understand this one point of the out exercise, conflict over the out usually goes away. Throughout training, Bernard emphasizes a calm grip on balls, tugs, or sleeves. He's quick to point out that the reason for this emphasis is because dogs who have a calm grip on a ball or a tug will also have a calm grip on a sleeve. Dogs that are chewy on their prey items will also be mouthy in their grip on a sleeve. Dogs that are mouthy on a sleeve are often, not always, but often that way because they are concerned over losing the prey item when the handler tells them to out. In other words, the dog anticipates the out, gets a little hectic, which leads to chewing on the toy or the sleeve. Watch your own dog sometime when he has a ball and you tell him to drop it. They will often start to mouth it. In our training, we will teach the dog that out means open your mouth right now. This is why the initial drive work with Bernard focuses on building the trust between the handler and the dog. Trust and understanding lead to a calm grip. The handler, through this work, will learn to develop a very clear relationship with his dog. We will explain how to do this in the training steps of this drive building video. Before we go into the training section on how to build drive, I need to talk about selecting the right prey item for your dog's training. I'll begin by saying that we no longer recommend tennis balls. We have learned that tennis balls cause too much damage to the enamel on our dog's teeth. Studies have been done in Germany which found that dog saliva, combined with the glue that's used on the covers of tennis balls, causes a chemical reaction that eats tooth enamel. So with that said, toss your tennis balls in the garbage. The kind of ball to use during this training are these soft rubber balls that have little bumps on them that you buy at your local pet warehouse. They often have bells inside of them. Many come without a cord on them. Take the bell out of the ball and add your own cord. Don't use hard rubber balls. These can hurt the dog if he gets hit in the head or the eye when trying to grab them. You can use kongs on cords or hoses or tugs. The way to determine which item your dog likes over other items is very simple. Let's watch Bernard have his dog, Etor, tell him what he likes better, a dumbbell or a ball on a string.
Now, before I start the next step, I ask my dog what he likes more. And he gives me a very clear answer. Yeah? I ask my dog, what you like? And he said he liked the ball. That's I like.
So, this is the easiest way to determine what toy your dog likes. It is possible through training that a dog will change his mind about a toy later on. With puppies, or if a person has a problem being able to move fast enough in training, there's another training aid that Bernard likes to use.
With a puppy, I can make movements like a mouse or rabbit will do. And no sweat by me, the dog is out of control. Yeah? That's very nice to make drive. And when the dog has it in his mouth, I can step to my dog. That's fine. Fight again, maybe a little bit pulling, and I can hook onto stuff like that. Also a bite roll, yeah? And make drive to that. By a bite roll, only you have to watch that the dog gets it into the middle, so I don't like too much. Yeah? With a ball, it's nice, it's every time in the same angle, but by a bite roll, sometimes it's not so good, but it helps dog handlers to make drive.
I wish there was a list that I could give you of exactly what to do with each dog to do this work. Unfortunately, that's not possible. There's not a fixed series of training steps that are set in stone for drive building. There is a series of skills that the handler must learn before he can effectively do this work. How each trainer applies these skills will vary according to the dog that he's working with, the temperament of the dog, the genetics of the dog, and the level of drive of that dog. Bernard is fond of saying, you have to go into your garden, put your feet up, smoke a cigar, drink a whiskey, and think about dog training. You need to think about how and when to apply the skills that we've taught you to the dog you're training. How you apply these skills will make the difference in how successful you are as a dog trainer. So, let me list the skills that you must learn to build drive, focus, and grip. They may seem simple, they're not. You will find out that success comes from being a perfectionist. Success comes from paying attention to the smallest of details. So, here's a list of skills that we will teach you in this tape. We'll begin by teaching you how to select the right prey item for the dog you're training. We'll show you the right and wrong way how to make drive with this prey item. We will show you how to make the dog sit out of drive. We will show you how to make the dog focus after the sit. We will teach you how to deliver or drop the prey item when the dog is focusing. We will show you how to build a firm grip through running and playing tug with the prey item. And we will show you how to train the dog to come into your arms, to learn to be comfortable when he's gripping the prey item. And finally, we will show you how to teach the first part of the out exercise.